What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Oh, we've got a lot to get into this morning, don't we? We've got a lot to get into because today could be the day. Today could be the Ligt and Mazraoui day. An announcement could be coming from Manchester United that their transfers from Bayern Munich, the double deal, has indeed been sealed, secured, and announced. Could be coming later today. We're also going to be talking about Jadon Sancho, possibly loaned to PSG. Maybe a little bit of an interest in Calvert-Lewin. United's midfielder search continues, and new reports suggest that indeed I may have been accurate when I said I don't think Ineos are going to get through this transfer window without signing a midfielder, dependent on whatever cost it's going to be. They're going to sign one, and that looks like exactly what is going to be the case for all that. The make weight involved in it, Scott McTominay as well, he could be on his way out. So there's so much to get into. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. A little bit late. I thought that Flex was going to be with me this morning, but he pulled out what is also known as a Zubimendi. No, he's only doing Sky. I just wanted to do the Zubimendi thing. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to do the Zubimendi thing. I haven't got much else planned when it comes to all of that kind of stuff. I haven't got much else planned when it comes to, you know...
Zubi-Zubi-Doo, where are you? We got some work to do now. Zubi-Zubi-Doo, where are you? We need some help from you now. You know what I mean? Liverpool fans are at it already.
They're at it already. Oh, God, I forgot that part of it. Oh, it was terrific, wasn't it? It was just terrific, wasn't it, last night? And do you know why it was terrific as well? It was tremendous because they'd already signed him. Apparently, they already signed him, Zubimendi. And I saw the people going, see, that's how you operate. Bing, bang, boom, done, overnight, signed Zubimendi, that's what happens. Meanwhile, slagging off Manchester United, slagging off Ineos, we're not doing enough. Well, we've only signed 4 players. How many have they signed? Goose egg, zero. That's how many people they've signed so far. And in fact, I'm not going to stop right there because my good friend AGT, it's been a rough year, okay? Every time that the transfer window rolls around for AGT, yeah, it gets a bit tough. I'll show you right here. That's why I'm a little bit late. I was prepping, brother. Because this time last year, what happened? We got the tweets. Hey, it never lies to you, does it? It never lies to you. The tweets last year. Liverpool reached an agreement with Brighton to sign Moises Caicedo. British record transfer. £110 million, right? This is how the big boys do business, fella. Well, they didn't do business, did they? Oh, and it carries on. When the Zubimendi thing was announced before, that's how you do business. Slack, bang, wallop. Said no to Arsenal, Barca and Bayern, but wants us. This is why you reserve judgment until the end of the transfer window. One more and we're ready. What a signing it could be. Up Arns, tricky Reds. Hashtag Zubimendi. Well, even Flex asked him, it's a done deal. Have you signed him? Oh, it's just like the Qatar flags all over again, isn't it? Just like the Qatar flags. The sand timer emoji comes back. Then what happens last night? Zubimendi has rejected Liverpool with formal communication. He even did it formally. I'm writing to declare I don't want to go to Liverpool. I think it's just very interesting. Very, very, very interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. How all this kind of stuff plans out, isn't it? So, where's Graham? Where's Robbie Fowler? What are they going to say now? What are they going to say now? They're very busy criticising our 4 signings. They're very busy criticising our 4 signings that we've made before the beginning of the Premier League season. Haven't really heard much. Haven't really heard much about their 0 signings that they've made. They're very busy criticising our Dutch manager from the Eredivisie. What's he ever won? What's he ever done? Oh, it's only the Eredivisie. Not really talking about their Dutch manager from the Eredivisie, are they? Look, guys, you've got column inches to fill right now. You've got articles to write. The ammunition's there. The ammunition's there, but I don't think they will. I don't think they will, because guess what? They've got bills to pay. and to pay those bills, you got to talk about Manchester United. You got to talk about Erik ten Hag, right? Or we can just package this. It can go to number 1.
Zooby Zooby Doo, where are you? We got some work to do now.
Surefire.
Zooby Zooby Doo, where are you? We need some help from you now.
It's the summer listen.
You know what I mean? Liverpool fans are at it already.
They are at it already. They really are all at it already.
Huh?
I mean, quite literally, the definition of...
No, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Pretty lightweight, that's Zubimendi, you know, pretty lightweight. And his decision to stay, wasn't it? Pretty lightweight. But we got out of the way. That's fine now. We can breathe. Lovely, isn't it? If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. It was a fun night. It was a very fun night. I mean, quite literally, I could tell that AGT was thinking about just this summer window. You know what I mean? A player, fee agreed, it's happening, and then rejected.
He's done it again! That is a foul! You fucking little bastard!
Actual quote from AGT from last night. A lot of fun. Right. Shall we move on? Shall we talk about Manchester United? Beat them to it, because I'm sure they will be doing it too. Let's talk about De Ligt. Let's talk about Mazraoui, because today indeed can be the day for this signing to be announced, the double signing to be announced. So, of course, they were having their medicals yesterday at Carrington. Fabrizio Romano saying Matthijs De Ligt and Ligt Mazraoui have just completed medical tests at Carrington. Contracts to be signed on both clubs and player side with their agent in Manchester. All documents to be okay in 24 hours, as De Ligt and Mazraoui will be ready for Fulham on Thursday. Romano's then tweeted this morning saying Matthijs De Ligt and Ligt Mazraoui are set to sign their Manchester United contracts later today. Plan confirmed. Now, it must be stressed, haven't confirmed if it's going to be an announcement regarding these players actually being made official today. I think they've done all of the sort of, obviously, the medical part of it. I would have thought part of that would have been doing their sort of media duties, you know, all that kind of stuff that comes out yesterday too. So we could be getting an announcement later on today, possibly tomorrow, but quite frankly, you know, they have to be registered by Thursday midday to be available for Friday. So I think an announcement's coming today. As far as the make weight involving the Mazraoui deal, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, he signed his new West Ham contract. This was late last night. So indeed, he is going to be a West Ham United player to facilitate the Mazraoui deal. So an announcement, I think, is going to be coming later today. And you know what I'm enjoying at the moment? I'm enjoying the optimism. In the fan base. I'm enjoying the excitement in the fan base. I think that, you know, the excitement and optimism was already there. And then with the Zubimendi stuff last night, it felt, you know what it was? It felt nice for that not to be us. Because we have lived just that kind of embarrassment, humiliation. I mean, I know they lived it last year, but it just felt nice for Manchester United not to be in the mud when it comes to the transfer window, or, you know, pursuits of players. It's going to happen, then it doesn't happen. And then on top of that, you know what actually made me laugh even more when it came to all that Zubimendi stuff? It wasn't even the fact that he rejected them, turned them down, and all that stuff, yeah? The thing that made me laugh the most was that they didn't have an alternative. They were like, oh, we're not going to sign a number 6 now. I mean, that is completely ripped out of the playbook of Ed Woodward or Richard Arnold. I mean, that is textbook. That is textbook Woodward, Arnold, Murto madness. That's exactly what it is. We're going to pursue this guy all summer. We can't get him. We're going to get anyone else? No. What are you going to do with the money? Oh, no. We'll figure it out. Whereas, you know, this is the thing that we've seen in this transfer window. This is the thing we've seen in this transfer window with Ineos and the new football leadership team, is that, look, if they can't get their targets, they've got alternatives. They'll pivot. They'll move away, or they'll go back. They'll dial it back. So we're going to walk away from this deal, and then maybe they'll come back and they'll get the player that they want for the price that they want too. I mean, it cannot be stressed enough Matthijs de Ligt was his birthday yesterday. Spent it in Manchester with Mazraoui. There were some pictures going around last night of him enjoying himself. 25 years old, and we've bought him for like 40 million quid. Do you know how mad that is? In 2024, to sign someone of de Ligt's age and experience for like around 40 million pounds in this market is mad. It is mad. And even the Mazraoui deal, you know, for the price that we've paid for him, what is that, like around 15 odd million quid, something like that? That's that in itself. Talk about value for money. Talk about not overpaying on the transfer fee. Is really, really exciting. And now you're talking about doing major surgery to your defence. We kind of spoke about it last night on the red carpet. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Loads of people enjoyed that last night. Flex, KG, myself, Saeed and Adam every Monday, 7 p.m. So we're talking about this transfer window, saying it's a really strong transfer window. Not to say that you can rest on your laurels now and there isn't still stuff to do and there isn't still positions to get to, which we'll get to in a bit. Particularly when we're talking about midfielders, particularly when we're talking about possibly, a left back or something. But it's a really, really strong window, and it's a really exciting window. And as I've said yesterday, if I think any United fan, if you said before the season starts, we'll have 4 players in, and the majority of those will be defenders, 2 centre backs, full back, and a striker, I think everyone would have gone, absolutely. Bear in mind that more can happen after the season starts because there's still time to go when it comes to the transfer window. So it's exciting. It's very exciting. Still work to do. But the other part of it is that we say still work to do, but I'm confident the work will get done. I'm confident that with this time remaining, all of the noise from all of the reporters and all the noises coming out of Old Trafford is Man United aren't done in this transfer window. Man United haven't stopped signing players now. Man United are going to try everything they can to move at least a couple of players on and bring a couple more players in, which again is encouraging. I think the anticipation, I think people will be excited and be happy with the window. But then if the news came out of, well, Man United, they're not going to be buying any more players now, that's it for the window, then I think maybe the mood would come down a little bit because it would be still a bit short, still stuff to do, still maybe need to bring in a couple of players. But the fact that there is this intention to, as I mentioned, not rest on the laurels and be like, no, there's still more work to do, and we're going to do it. We're gonna do that. We're gonna get those players in. Which again, I have faith that they will do that. Now, will the players that they do bring in be the players that maybe we had already anticipated, like the Ugates or whoever? Maybe not. As I've said multiple times, anything is possible in this transfer window. Absolutely anything is possible in this transfer window. But I also do have faith that there are alternatives out there, and the football leadership team know exactly who they are, and they've got their options open for a good reason. They've not backed themselves into a corner. So I think that's really, really encouraging. Super chat here from Tabrez says, Owen, check your email. A new wait minute from DR. I did see that yesterday. I haven't checked it. It was a busy day yesterday, but I did see that. Appreciate that, Tabrez, and appreciate the super chat. I also saw someone say something about the full view. Full view hasn't been scrapped or anything like that. It's just been moved to a different day. As we said yesterday, full view is going to be now on Thursdays moving forward. So there should be a full view in a couple of days' time. Thursday, 6 p.m. Bit of a reshuffle of the schedule for this season, but as you can see right there, red carpet is out every Monday at 7, and full view will be every Thursday at 6, unless of course there's a match that day or what have you. Same when it comes to the red carpet, obviously, if there's a Monday night football or something like that, dependent on the football schedule, as that does change and move things around, of course. Amanor with a super chat says, we need to get Ugart or Berg. Zubi Dooby Doo, hold that. I mean, do I play it again? How can I not play it again? I mean, you've got to.
Zubi Zubi Doo, where are you? We got some work to do now. Zubi Zubi Doo, where are you? We need some help from you now. You know what I mean? Liverpool fans are at it already.
They were.
Raggy.
Oh, that last bit always gets me. Oh, I thought KG's songs were bad, man. And I thought KG's jinxes were bad. Oh, my God. Oh.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear.
Yeah. Oh, dear, oh, dear. Oh, dear. We're less than 100 likes away from 500, by the way. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well whilst you're at it. Yeah, that was fun, wasn't it? We also, I think, was it yesterday? We hit 174,000 subscribers. Already well on the road to 175. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. A lot's coming up this season, and a lot's coming up this week as well. So now's the time if you haven't already. But that is the latest when it comes to Ligt and Mazraoui. Could be the announcement today. Of course, if it is, I shall be here. And we can break down all of the quotes and things that happen with all of that. Right, let's move on to some other transfer stuff. Let's move on to Jadon Sancho because of a little bit of an update when it comes to a possible loan deal for him. It's been reported that PSG could be interested in negotiating a deal to sign Jadon Sancho on loan with an obligation to buy. There's also this report coming out from The Athletic this morning suggesting that it's actually a really in-depth piece from Laurie Whitwell and those guys, and it touches a bit on, once again, looking for this midfielder that they're going for, which we'll talk about in a bit. Talks a bit about McTominay, saying that there is a possibility he still could be sold, around £25 million they're looking at. But it also just say that there were some names kind of earmarked, like Casemiro, like Jadon Sancho, like Anthony, that were sort of available for sale, but there just hasn't really been a huge amount of interest. So I don't know about this PSG one at this point. I really don't, because one day I feel like it's going to happen, because you hear from like Darmesh saying that, you know, PSG, they're in talks and they are interested. Then you get another report that says, well, they're quite superficial, it's nothing too advanced, it's just sort of inquiries, that kind of thing. I did see, I think it was something from the Muppeteers saying that PSG, what they were sort of alluding to that they were offering was way below what Manchester United were really looking for. So I think you could probably put this Sancho one in the category of one to watch, perhaps. Once the season does start, sometimes that can change things when it comes to all of this, can't it? Because players don't play, or players only get a few minutes here and there, and then suddenly they realise, oh, I might not going to be playing for the rest of the season. What does that really mean, basically? So I don't know. I still lean towards I think he'll probably go. And I still do think he might be used as a bit of a fundraising mechanism for Manchester United. But I thought that about the Ligt and Mazraoui deal. We've already done it. So would he be a fundraising deal for an Ugarte? Would he be a fundraising deal? I don't know why it does that. I don't know why it does that. I don't know why it does that. It literally, for, you know what it is, yeah? This thing comes down and it goes red, and then 2 seconds later it goes, you're back on. All the time. I don't know why. And I know, and the thing is as well, I know I'm going to come back. I know I'm going to come back. It's not even an internet thing. I don't know what that is. I think it's an OBS thing, maybe. Because it just go. What was that? It was like 5 seconds, wasn't it? 5 seconds. Just stop talking now. Take a breath. But yes, when it comes to Sancho, maybe it is going to be part of the Ugarte thing. And maybe if they are interested in Sancho, maybe it's good that we keep those sort of dialogue open as much as possible. And yeah, maybe we keep that dialogue with them as open as much as possible, just to keep talking, and possibly that deal can actually happen, I suppose. Yes. Lilio says, "Damn Virgin Media." Do you know what it is? Yeah, it's not even Virgin Media. The internet's fine. My internet's really good now, actually. Really good. Me and Virgin Media, we settled our issues a long time ago. Yeah, we're we're good friends now, me and Virgin Media. Again, I think it's an OBS thing. I think it just drops out for 5 seconds, which is weird. But yes, so with this Jadon Sancho one, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, let me know in the chat. 1, he stays. 2, he goes. What you think's going to happen with Jadon Sancho? If I was typing in the chat right now, I would probably lean towards a 2. I think he still probably goes, but it's a tough one. That is a tough one because there just doesn't feel a lot of sort of concreteness, does it? Just doesn't feel a lot of concreteness. But I just feel like as the window will tick on, stuff will happen, last minute deals. You put it this way, you could see, I think, Jadon Sancho leave Manchester United on deadline day. Like, oh, Jadon Sancho, he's gone to PSG on loan, deadline day, obligation to buy or something like that. I could see that. I could see that. And also, I don't see, in the build-up to that, I don't see him starting a lot of the games. I see him coming on like he did in the Community Shield, sort of like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, that kind of thing. We do have a lot of options in wide positions. So I still feel like he probably will end up going, but I wouldn't be shocked if he stayed either. I can't say I would be shocked if that was the case. What are people saying? Skiliano's giving it a 1-1, saying gonna stay. Kristen, Tabrez, Simon, Bandil says they think it's gonna go. Lil Yo-Yo says gonna go. Mixed. It's very mixed. It's very mixed with that one, which I think again kind of sums up the. I'm not really totally sure what's going to happen there. And I would tend to agree with you that I'm not totally sure either. All Elite says, to be fair, I think deadline day is going to be mad. A lot of transfer waiting for another to happen, going to be mad domino effect. I still think that's going to be the case with Man United too. But as we've seen, really, not just with United, over the last 7 days alone, just across the transfer market, it's picked up a bit, and there's the way that sort of transfers are moving now. It's kind of changed a little bit, hasn't it? Because there is this perception that a lot of these transfers get done overnight, isn't there? Because you don't hear about them as much, or because it's just like, right, boom, you get the Romano, here we go. You get the David Ornstein siren. So-and-so's in talks with so-and-so. A medical's booked for tomorrow. And you go, wow, that happened like overnight. That was so quick. Whereas the reality is actually that's not really the case, is it? What's really the case is they've been chatting to this player for ages and ages and ages and ages. They agreed personal terms months ago, like we did with Ligt and Mazraoui. We agreed personal terms back in June, and the deal's ready to go. It's ready to be completed, but they're waiting, as you mentioned, for the domino to fall. They're waiting for the domino to fall. They're waiting for the they're waiting for whoever to be sold. It can be sold, and that's it, So, and that was the case for us with Wan-Bissaka, I think. So yes, I think you're right. I think it is going to be a bit of a mad end to the window and a mad deadline day. I do agree with you on that one. Some people saying internet or noises or whatever. That might just be a YouTube thing. There's nothing on my end. You might need to refresh or something like that, because I'm not getting anything here. Red Baron says, sign 4 players. We shouldn't be too greedy. Too many players can upset a squad too. Well, I don't think we're not in like a Chelsea, are we? I mean, I saw some crazy stat the other day about how many players Todd Boehly had signed since he took over Chelsea. I can't remember the exact number. I think it's in like the 30s or something like that. That he signed a ridiculous amount of players, and that same amount of players back for Manchester United was Bastian Schweinsteiger. I think my numbers aren't completely accurate here, but I think it was something like Todd Boehly has signed, I think it was like 35 players or something like that in 2 years or whatever. And they were like, for reference, the player that Manchester United signed 35 players ago was Bastian Schweinsteiger. And it was like, oh. So that's when you get into the territory of just buying loads of players and worried about having, an upset squad or unbalanced squad, because I think Todd Bowley's going to be on an episode of Hoarders soon because he's just stockpiling talent for, I don't know. I don't know the particular reason why. And Chelsea is such a funny case. I know I talk about Chelsea a lot, but they are such a funny case because every season, every summer, it's the same discussion about them. I feel like we've had this discussion about Chelsea every summer for like the last 3 years when we go, I tell you what, Chelsea, they're doing business. They're doing business here, Chelsea. And then the season starts when it's like, they've got too many players. They've got too many players. And this was the remarkable thing about them last year, wasn't it? Is that, when the starting 11 graphic comes out, of like, this is your Chelsea starting 11, and you would look at all these positions, you go, they need more players. But how? They've got like 1 million of them. How do they need more players? But they do. When you look at their starting 11, it's like a complete sort of mind F about what's going on with them. But the general consensus, and this is what's also really curious about them, the general consensus is that eventually it will work, right? Eventually it will click, eventually it will work, and eventually they'll be really, really good. Which I would agree with, because towards the end of last season with them, it was working. It was working. But the guy who was making it work is gone. So I have no idea. It must be mad to be a Chelsea fan, really, because every other day there's like a sign and you go, I don't know who that is. And then also, you don't know, every other day it feels like get a new manager, don't know who that is. And you have no idea if they're going to be good or not. You're like, well, I don't know. Again, a good friend of mine is a Chelsea fan. I was talking to him yesterday. I'm going, so like, what's your expectations for the season? He's like, I've got no idea. I have not a clue. Who knows? So they're always a fascinating one. But I'm so far very happy with the business that Manchester United have done, and don't want to be looking and comparing to others. Where are we at? Super Chat. Joe Fleming says we should include Chido, which makes 5 signings. I don't know if I do, because it was really actually big up to Flex, because he mentioned on one of the transfer views maybe like a week or so ago that he had heard that basically the notion that he was being viewed as a third striker was really, really far-fetched and was really like just not accurate. And then a couple of days later, Laurie Whitwell basically said the same thing in The Athletic, which was that's a bit wide of the mark. He's going to be definitely focused in the academy, in the under-23s team. Occasionally, he might train with the first team, if they need the extra body or something like that. But to sort of suggest that he's going to be even on the periphery of sort of, the first team this season might be a bit of a stretch. So, I mean, you let me know in the chat. Do you include that as a 5th signing? I don't know if I particularly. I don't know if I think that really counts. Maybe 4.5. Maybe. Red Baron says, can Flex speak with some of those ESPN pundits? Why would you want to? And Red Baron says, no, we did that one. Sign 4 players. We shouldn't be greedy. Too many players can get upset too. People saying. Simon says nah. About whether it included. Steffi Jenks says no. Kristen said doesn't count. Rahil says not tactically, yes financially. Yeah, I don't really count it, to be honest with you. I don't really count that as 5, because I think also as well then you would include forget the guy's name, but there was a player that we got from Crystal Palace, I think wasn't it, who didn't sign a new deal at Palace, and I think we got him as well. So when's the cut-off point with that? Are we including every academy player that we sign for Man United? Because that should be a fairly regular process, isn't it, of trying to find sort of the best players from around England, try and get them from other academies, bring them into our academy, develop them, bring them into the first team. That should kind of be the same thing. So I don't know if that counts. I don't think that that counts. Speaking of signings and strikers, this was a bit of a weird one from Dharmesh Chef yesterday, saying about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Saying Everton forward Dominic Calvert-Lewin was one of a number of forwards discussed by Manchester United in this transfer window. As it stands, not a priority position, and United unlikely to reinforce in that area unless there are sales. Calvert-Lewin is into the final year of his contract. Bit of a strange one. Don't see it. I'm going to be honest. Don't see it. I don't think... I would be really surprised, in all honesty. Forget the Calvert-Lewin part of it. But I'd be really surprised if United did sign another striker in this transfer window, in all honesty. I think that that it's going to be... it's interesting, actually, wasn't it? Because when we had signed only 2 players, my prediction was 3 more people we'd get through the door, which was Ligt, Mazraoui, and a central midfielder. And actually now, it probably is going to be more than that, I think. I think that it's... now we've got those 2 through the door in Ligt and Mazraoui. I think possibly we're going to get 2 more players in. I think that it's going to be a midfielder, and I do think we are going to get that extra defender, that fullback. Not sure totally who it is at the moment, but I do think we're going to get a fullback in. But I don't think we're going to get another striker. I can't see that. And then particularly one that we would pay for, in Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Now, I'll ask the chat something here. If we're ruling out Calvert-Lewin this season, but if you could get him on a free transfer next season and his wages weren't particularly high, would you be interested in that, or would it still be a no? Because Calvert-Lewin's a curious one, because this guy's fitness record is horrible, isn't it? Horrible. I'd probably stay clear for that reason. I just don't think he really fits into what we're trying to do. And I know that we always say the injury record, you might as well not pay any attention to it, but I just don't think... I think with Calvert-Lewin, it's a curious case of him, because he had what? A couple of good seasons, maybe? Couple of good options? I think a couple of good seasons, rather. But apart from that, usually injured, and I think there'd be better options out on the market. I mean, it depends what happens with Ivan Toney, right? I mean, I know there's rumours about Ivan Toney could be going to Saudi, but if Ivan Toney did run down his contract and he was on a free, I'd much rather have Ivan Toney on a free than Calvert-Lewin. So I'd probably stay clear, in all honesty. What are people saying like that? A lot of no's. Yeah, a lot of no's. I think that's probably fair. I probably wouldn't go to it, in all honesty. It does kind of concern me that we're even considering that, but again, I don't think that I don't think we'll sign a striker this summer. And then on top of that, I think if we moved it to next summer, of like, we'll be interested in getting another striker. We'll be interested in getting another striker next summer, then I think there would be better options on the market, in all honesty. Rahil says, garbage is free, but doesn't belong in houses. Well, I suppose it's less if it's in the bin and you haven't taken it out yet. But I get your point, yes. How many likes are we currently at? We've got close to 1,800 people watching, which is fantastic. We are about 70 likes away from 700. Let's see how high we can go, indeed. If you haven't already, click the like button. Let's see if we can get to 750, maybe even higher. Anything is possible, just like this transfer window with Manchester United. Speaking of which, let's talk about midfielders. Let's talk about midfielders because there is a lot going on, and I think this is going to be sort of the last sort of big signing that Manchester United make. So, Dharmesh has also been talking about midfielders. He said that Manchester United are still working on possible arrivals in midfield. Talks are continuing with Burnley over the signing of Sander Berg, and a dialogue also remains open with Monaco over Youssouf Fofana. Now, as I mentioned, The Athletic have done an article this morning, and this is, I think, the really encouraging part of this, saying that Manchester United are expected to sign a midfielder before the August 30 deadline. Whatever happens with outgoings, but it may be at the low cost end. So I think that's the big thing there, because that is something that I have been saying. I can't remember how many shows have been saying it now, that I do have faith and I do have confidence that almost irrespective of what happens or what goes on, I don't think the new football leadership team at Manchester United are going to let this transfer window shut without getting in another midfielder. Now, as far as what that profile of midfielder is, according to The Athletic, Manchester United have been looking for a number 6 to play alongside Kobbie Mainoo or Window. They are also thinking about backup left-backs capable of playing on the left side of central defence, which is what I was saying previously about now I could see a situation where actually we do get 2 more signings, a midfielder and a possible left fullback. But as far as the midfielder situation, it was interesting with Sander Berg wasn't involved with Burnley last night. A lot of people reading into that. I suppose rightfully so. Does make sense. Possibly something could happen there. The Fofana one, I think that one's gone quite cold, hasn't it? I don't think I see that happening at this point. It feels like there's sort of 3 avenues. I think it feels like there's 3 avenues. The top target or the priority target feels like still to be Ugarte, and that deal isn't off at this point. Man United probably have backed off a little bit and are maybe sort of letting it simmer, while trying to let PSG think almost a little bit, going, if you want to charge that amount, maybe we'll go elsewhere. They'll back off a little bit. Maybe PSG will change their mind. But Ugarte still feels like he's the top priority option. The second option then feels like Sander Berg, which feels like they actively are sort of talking about and considering. And then sort of the third option, which is sort of the low-cost option, feels like potentially they might do a loan and try and find Amrabat or someone equivalent to something like that. But with those options, with those different avenues that they can go, I am still positive that United will sign a midfielder before the end of the transfer window. In all honesty, with the Amrabat thing, he's a curious case because obviously we didn't see a lot of him last season, and his last game was a very good game in the FA Cup final, and he played very well that day. But you know, sometimes you think maybe you should just leave it on a good note. maybe just leave it on a good note, because I'm not sure if he came back and played consistently in that midfield, that would really ever get topped in terms of performances for him. And I felt like he was good for what he was, which was a bit of a stopgap, but we have seen his deficiencies, we have seen his strengths, and I still think in this window we can do better. Even if it's a low cost option, I still feel like we can do better. I'm not totally against Sander Berg. I do think there's an element of football snobbery when it comes to Sander Berg, in the sense of he's from Burnley, so he can't be that good. And you go, what does that even mean? They're the same football narratives that go around, like De Ligt's always injured and he never played for Bayern Munich. He got kicked out the team by Eric Dyer. When you just go, well, that's just not really true. So I'm not totally against that one. It does feel like, though, doesn't it, that the priority, the top target, the name that Manchester United are really looking at is still Ugarte. And maybe, as I mentioned, when it comes to these possible talks with Jadon Sancho, or the dialogue involved with PSG and Jadon Sancho, maybe as long as that is alive, there is still the possibility that this Ugarte thing could happen. Could they get maybe creative when it comes to it? Perhaps maybe it does turn into a loan with an obligation or an option to buy. Maybe they do it that way. I don't think you see a situation where it's like a straight swap or anything like that for Ugarte. David says, if Liverpool go for Ugarte as well, that would confuse me. I'd think Liverpool, they're not going for anyone, are they? This is what was quite interesting last night, is that I think, was it Paul Joyce, who I think is the Athletic correspondent, said there isn't even an alternative that Liverpool are looking for. They're looking at their academy or players that they've already got as their 6 that they're going to go for, which again is right out of the Glazer playbook, because that would be something that we would do, which would be, United are going for a midfielder, they don't get one, and then when they get rejected by the player that they were going after, well, Manchester United are actually very confident because they've got Scott McTominay and Fred in the team, so they don't feel that they actually need to get that 6. It would have just been nice to get it, that kind of spin, because honestly, some of the attempts at sort of spinning and PR and all that stuff that was going on last night. I mean, you want to talk about saying that, Manchester United fans are flip-flops or whatever. The speed in which Zubimendi went from the greatest player of all time to the worst player to ever lace up a pair of boots was just incredible last night. I mean, it was brilliant. He's not even that good anyway. He's not. We didn't even really want him. We've got better players. We weren't even making up songs about him. No, we never wanted him. Never, ever. Were we interested? No chance. No. I don't know what you're talking about. So I don't think, well, according to the reports anyway, Liverpool aren't even looking at alternatives. But I think probably that would be naive to suggest that. I think it would probably be naive to suggest that they might not get anyone else because, as I've said, anything is possible in the transfer window. Will they sort of react to pressure? Will they react to scrutiny? We've seen this a lot. We've seen it at Man United. We've seen it at lots of clubs in the past where, they don't do the business that they wanted to do, and just the sheer backlash or outrage from the fans does lead them to be like, we got to do something. We got to do something. But whether or not that happens, I mean, I really don't know, and I don't really care. In all honesty, it's funny. It's fun to see Liverpool get rejected by a player, but at the same time, if Man United hadn't done their business, I'd be like, oh, that's a bit concerning. It feels very nice to be laughing at the rivals, going, you're in the mud, but also then not have any recourse. But like, actually, we've done good business thus far. We've done good business, and we're still not completely there by any stretch of the imagination, but it is encouraging, and it's also, I mentioned this yesterday too, it's also really, I don't know what the right word is, relaxing or comforting to know that the people in charge of getting these deals done, or the people in charge of doing these transfers, legitimately do have a plan. It's not reactionary. It's not what are we going to do. We're not sure what's going to happen. Who's available now? Let's just get someone now. There is a strategic plan. There are targets. There are players that they realise it might take a bit of time to get, but they will get them. They won't overpay to get them. And it's good business. That is very comforting, and it's very foreign, frankly, for a Man United fan after seeing how we've operated in the transfer window for the best part of a decade. I mean, remember that interview? What was it with Ed Woodward when he's sitting on the sidelines at Old Trafford talking about, we got a blank cheque, we can write whatever we want. Who does that? Who says that? And then goes into negotiations and goes, why are they asking for so much money? Why are they asking for so much cash? Well, you're the one, Ed. You're the one that's saying we've got a blank cheque, we can write whatever we want when it comes to that. It's like, it's just madness. So that's also why, when you see these things now about, Man United's budget's only this, Man United's budget's only that, who knows what our budget actually is. They're keeping it very close. They're keeping it very, very close, and they're making sure they've got as much leverage as possible when it comes to these transfer negotiations. So, yeah, I'm encouraged and I'm excited by it, indeed. And we sort of spoke about it last night on the red carpet, saying that there is, and I think maybe it just comes always when it the start of the season. There's always optimism because it's a season full of possibilities. The ending hasn't been written yet, but there is optimism about this season, considering how bad last season was. There's still stuff to do, and still, please don't get injured. But even now, you're looking at it once again, going, I'll tell you what, when Lenny Yoro gets back, you've got Martinez, you've got De Ligt, you've got Yoro. Not bad centre back options there, is it? Not bad centre back options at all. That's pretty encouraging. The player exits as well. They'll happen. They might not all happen this season. I think it'd be naive to think that they're going to happen this season, and that might be a slow, painful, and tedious process to see. We'll talk about McTominay in just a few seconds. About McTominay leaving, about Maguire leaving, about Lindelof leaving. Look how sort of tedious it's been to sell Wan-Bissaka. And Wan-Bissaka wasn't even a super high earner or a, no disrespect to him, but like sort of critical player to the team. And again, look how long that kind of took with sort of exit payments and negotiations and exit terms, getting things sorted like that. So that's almost just what that's going to be until they are all gone. And that might just take a bit of time. It might take several transfer windows. But they're trying. They legitimately are trying. Those people have been marked and they have been earmarked to leave. And it will get done eventually. It will get done eventually. I have faith and confidence in that one, definitely. I caught up with super chats. One from Red Baron says people are being snobby about Berg. He's a decent player. Well, again, the Sander Berg one's interesting, isn't it? Because like with any player, some stats last season in the Premier League were some of the best stats in the league, weren't they? With him, and you go, wow, that's exciting. And ultimately, it doesn't really, especially because there are very many examples of players that have been bought from teams that have been, relegated or towards the bottom of the league. And if they fit in your system and they work, then it doesn't really matter where they came from, in all honesty. So I do agree with you in the sense I do think there is an element of sort of snobbery when it comes to Sander Berg, because maybe he's not as sort of, sexy a name as Ugarte from PSG, and he was playing in Copa America. Sander Berg from Norway, playing at Burnley in the Championship. But last season in the Premier League, he had some pretty good stats too. But it's all about, for me anyway, it's all about if they fit, if they can do the job that Erik ten Hag's looking for, if they complement the players that we've already got. That's my biggest sort of criteria, not necessarily who they are and where they're from or anything like that. Because as I said, there are plenty of examples of players that have been signed from lower table or lower league clubs that have done very, very well. We can pick out many throughout history. So that doesn't really overly concern me all that much. And finally, McTominay. A bit of an update on Scott McTominay. So, Dharma Chef once again saying Scott McTominay could be one to watch when it comes to before the transfer deadline. As it stands, Fulham not expected to go back in for McTominay. Galatasaray are interested, but have yet to get close to United's valuation. It's also been reported by The Athletic this morning that Scott McTominay's future may not be resolved until the final fortnight of the window. Fulham retain interest, and Everton, Brentford, Galatasaray and Fenerbahce have all made inquiries. So this is what I kind of mean when I say that I still think that this transfer window is going to be crazy. Towards the end of the window, deadline day, I still think stuff is going to happen. And the McTominay one's a really interesting one because, the sort of suggestion of, was it 30 million United want? Then it was like, well, they'd be willing to do business around sort of 25, maybe sort of 25 million pounds plus 5 million pounds in add-ons. And Fulham, I think their last bid was for about 20? And I felt at the time, considering that wasn't too far away, I thought they'd return back for another bid. The fact that they didn't, I thought was a bit surprising. But I still think they could circle back and come back in for that one. And also, realistically, 25 million pounds, I think there will be other Premier League clubs that will be interested in that price. I mean, maybe you look at Galatasaray and Fenerbahce. I think you can probably rule them out of that for around 25 million. They just don't spend that much on players. But I think with other potential clubs being interested, like, if Everton are interested, 70 million pounds or nothing, because apparently that's the going rate, for sort of British players in the Premier League, pretty much, around sort of 60 to 70 million pounds. Everton, I think that's what it was, unless I'm mistaken. I thought that was pretty much the sort of going price. Be interesting to see if suddenly they want to negotiate. But if there is one or two or three Premier League teams interested in Scott McTominay, then I can still see him going. And again, when the season does start, things do start to happen. Players start to realise, actually, I'm really not in the plans, or I'm really going to be on the periphery. Oh, actually, they're looking at bringing in these other players. Oof, I'm not sure about that. I also saw some suggestions that possibly Napoli could be interested in Scott McTominay, which would be a bit of a wild move. Could they afford that? Well, I suppose possibly. I mean, it's still quite up in the air about what's going to happen with Victor Osimhen this summer. I mean, I did see some of the reports and suggestions that Osimhen was kind of waiting on Chelsea. And obviously I know that they're looking to do something probably that involves Lukaku maybe going to Napoli and Osimhen coming the other way and all that kind of stuff. But there could be some money left over involved with how much money that would actually involve. I don't know. So I suppose you couldn't really rule that one out. But there is certainly interest in Scott McTominay. And if we could sell Scott McTominay for, let's say it's 25 million quid, pure profit, it's a 30 million pound package, then that's just about the right amount of money to get maybe a Sanderberg. Maybe it's just the right amount of money to start a deal with Manuel Ugarte and maybe spread out some payments further along the line. So he still could be the make weight. It felt like, last week that possibly that whole thing was going to be off. That whole thing was going to be done. And now, as we get closer to the window, anything can happen. Anything's possible. And with Scott McTominay, it feels like that might just possibly be the case. So we shall see with that one. And if, like I said, I think regardless of McTominay staying or going, I think we're going to sign a midfielder this summer anyway. But I suppose McTominay just might be the gauge of what the price is going to be, of that midfielder that we go for. If we don't sell McTominay, maybe it is that sort of low-cost option, maybe a loan. If we do sell him, maybe that's getting Sanderberg, or maybe that's getting enough money together to being able to put in somewhat of a strong offer for Ugarte. Probably still not the money that PSG want, but an offer that could be on the table that maybe they could possibly look at. And also, of course, if you get, Sancho possibly goes, that could be enough money to put that Ugarte deal together, plus getting a full back in. So there are still plates spinning. There are still, what was that guy's name? Who was that Barca journalist a couple of years ago with the whole Frankie de Jong stuff that was like, things are happening. I swear he built his reputation and following so big on just saying things are happening. Was it Romero? Was that his name? Well, he says Romero. I think it was. Yeah. Was it Gerard Romero? I think it was. Things are happening, and he had his bell that he would hear ding. It's worse than my breaking news thing. He was going ding ling ling. It's like me. Where's the breaking news thing? This would be the equivalent of what he used to do. He used to be like, imagine this is a bell.
Breaking news.
Things are happening. That'll be it. That would be it. And you would go, oh. What are those things? Can't tell you that. Can't tell you the things that are happening. Where are they happening? Probably Barca, because I sort of cover Barcelona quite a bit. No. Alright. That was it. A whole summer of that. Frankie de Jong, things are happening. Things are getting hot. You go, okay. Cool. Never again. Never revisiting that again. Never ever. Oh my gosh. But there you go, guys. That's a transfer view for you this morning. How many likes do we end up at? Only 9 away from 800. I tell you what. 1K could be on. I mean, we've still got nearly 1,800 people watching. On the way out, if you haven't already, click the like button. See if we can get it to 1K. Would be amazing for a solo stream. Would be fantastic. So if you haven't already, click the like button. What's on tap for the rest of today? Well, who knows what's on tap for the rest of the day. I think an announcement could be coming. Yeah, an announcement could be coming very soon, hopefully, when it comes to Ligt and Mazraoui. Be chatting about that. If you haven't already, as I mentioned, check out the red carpet. Loads of people really enjoyed that last night. Flex, KG, myself, Saeed, Adam, and more coming soon, maybe. Every Monday, 7 p.m. And a reminder, Full View isn't going away. It's just going to be on Thursdays now. Thursdays, KG's favourite day of the week, at 6 p.m. So be sure to join us then. And if we do have any more news, any more updates, I shall be here to guide you all the way through it. Big up to everyone for getting involved this morning. Great show, really enjoyed it. Big up to all of the people that sent the super chats in. Click the like button. Everyone in the chat as well, all the members, much appreciated. And hopefully, I'll see you later on. Peace.